Imagine the scene in ancient Egypt, a land shrouded in an unnatural darkness, a stillness that carries a heavy sense of dread. For days, not a single ray of sunlight pierced the gloom. But in Goshen, where the Israelites lived, there was light. This was the ninth plague, a palpable darkness, a final warning from God to Pharaoh. Yet Pharaoh's heart remained hard. Then came the 10th and most devastating plague. A cry of anguish echoed through every Egyptian home, from the palace to the humblest dwelling. The firstborn of every family, and even the firstborn of their livestock, were struck down. It was a night of immense sorrow and loss. Only the homes of the Israelites, marked with the blood of a lamb on their doorposts, were spared. This was the Passover, the ultimate sign of God's power and protection over his chosen people. Broken by this final, terrible blow, Pharaoh finally relented. "Go," he commanded Moses and Aaron. "Leave my land, you and all the Israelites. Go, worship the Lord as you have requested." And so, after 430 years of bondage, an entire nation, numbering in the hundreds of thousands, began their exodus. They didn't leave empty-handed. Their Egyptian neighbors, eager to see them go, gave them articles of silver and gold and clothing. The Israelites marched out, not as fleeing slaves, but as a liberated people, guided by a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. But freedom's path is rarely straight. Pharaoh's grief quickly turned to rage and regret. "What have we done?" he fumed. "We have let our workforce go." He mustered his entire army and 600 of his best chariots, and all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. The ground trembled as the formidable Egyptian force thundered across the desert in pursuit. The Israelites had reached the edge of the Red Sea, a vast impassable body of water before them. As they looked back, they saw the dust clouds of Pharaoh's approaching army. Panic seized them. Trapped between the sea and a furious army, their newfound freedom seemed like a cruel joke. They cried out to Moses, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die?" But Moses stood firm, his faith unwavering. He raised his voice above the cries of fear. "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. All through that night, a strong east wind blew, and the waters of the Red Sea began to part. The sea divided, forming a wall of water on their right and on their left. A path of dry land appeared where a swirling sea had just been. It was a miracle beyond imagination. Under the guidance of the pillar of fire, the Israelites walked through the sea on dry ground. They marched between two towering walls of water, a sight that defied all logic, a testament to God's incredible power. The Egyptian army, blinded by their pursuit, charged into the same path. They rode their chariots onto the seabed, determined to recapture their former slaves. But as the last Israelites stepped safely onto the far shore, Moses once again stretched out his hand over the sea. At daybreak, the sea returned to its full depth. The walls of water collapsed upon the Egyptian army. Chariots, horses, and soldiers were engulfed by the rushing waves. Not one of them survived. When the sun rose, the Israelites saw the bodies of their pursuers washed up on the shore. The mighty army that had held them in bondage for centuries was no more. A great sense of awe and reverence fell upon them. They understood the magnitude of the miracle they had just witnessed. That day, they didn't just escape from Egypt. They saw the power of faith and the promise of deliverance made real. Their journey was far from over, but their trust in God was cemented by the impossible, unforgettable crossing of the Red Sea. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible story of faith and freedom. If you were moved by this epic tale, please hit that like button and subscribe.